Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of updates in the search usually go about on Twitter X. Yesterday, I didn't manage to do anything. I was out all day and I didn't even manage to publish the Callisto Protocol episode. It's about to happen from time to time, as I mentioned. Tomorrow I will be publishing the next Callisto Protocol episode. And just also a quick recap that I already have reorganized kind of a thing here on the active gameplay series and the 4K complete gameplay series. It's better organized than before. But yeah, other than that, don't have any more updates on the channel. So let's go to the news. Just a quick update on the Q release from ASUS motherboards. It's been reported that it's been noticing some damage on the PCB stuff here from some users here and there. I really don't like that much this kind of a system, mainly because how the system itself works, which is no release button. So it's basically mechanical forcing or leverage to release the GPUs there. ASUS did this statement here. It's a lengthy statement, basically trying to cover their own assets per se, saying that as long as you use it accordingly to the manual, you should not have any kind of issues with releasing the GPU in terms of damage. But as you can see here, the problem with this mechanic thing here is this slit here, where in this is the corner that we've been noticing some reported damage here. So I think it's mainly because of this part here, the way it's leveraged here. When you try to release it, if you do it improperly, let's say, according to ASUS, you're bound to have sooner or later any kind of damage. According to them, just as to clarify here, supposedly they tested this with they didn't notice in their own internal testing. Supposedly they didn't notice anything according to industry standards, which I don't know which kind of standardization there is regarding this new system, but it includes 40 insertion and removal tests. I will assume 20 cycles, I suppose, inserting constitute two insertions and removal, so one cycle, and they didn't notice anything up until 16 insertion. They did notice very sporadic reports of minor wear and tear on the GPUs, but supposedly this will not affect the GPU itself. But again, if you have a system that it's bound to happen to have any kind of physical damage, minor as it is, you don't know if, for example, if the PCB it's lesser quality, let's say, you probably will get a crack here and there, and especially on this pin here on the PCI Express connector here on the GPU side, you might encounter like a crack or something like that, because again, you're using leverage as a force to remove the GPU. So again, the stress on the PCB itself, again, I don't think is the best way to go about it. The system as that's been used here for locking the GPUs itself on the motherboard. We've got the older ones here, which you need to manually press to unlock. Even those, if you with bigger GPUs, we saw the cracks there on some 4090s and 4080s, mainly because of the how heavy the GPU is, and again, it starts to, if not properly inserted and balanced with, I don't know, with those little thingies that you usually put the support stuff, or any alternative ways of I don't know, balance the GPU. We saw some of those cracks appear, and because the traces are between the layers of the PCB themselves, we saw some GPUs getting uh, ruined which is not good. But yeah, again, they try to cover their way there, but yeah, I don't think this is the optimal way to go about and having a system like this, especially if this is higher end motherboards, which usually given when we have higher end equipment, again, the GPU will not be a cheap GPU like a 200 $300 GPU on a, I don't know, $1,000 motherboard. I think again, except for it is for testing. Again, I will assume there's going to be some for people that to test several GPUs will have a lot of cycles throughout these kind of systems. But yeah, if you are a single user, supposedly you will not get any kind of issues. Supposedly, but you never know. So, I will assume you might encounter on the first cycle, you might encounter some damage already on the GPU. And then again, if you have any kind of small damage on any kind of hardware, even if you want to sell it secondhand, again, it removes value from it. At least that's my perception. I will for sure will if I bought any kind of secondhand GPU, I will not buy it, or I will ask a huge discount if I see any kind of physical damage on the GPU like this, especially if it is an high-end GPU. But yeah, this is how we are at the moment. It's kind of falls in line to almost a certain degree with this 12-volt power pin here in terms of physical stuff that it's happening on hardware. But yeah, it is. It is what it is. In terms of other news, we got already now the 5080 GPU review roundup. I watched a little bit of Gamer Nexus and I watched Hardware Unboxed, and it seems that the consensus is again. This seems again another blunder. Seems more like a 4080 Ti than a 5080 launch. Um, I think best case scenario you see, I think between 10 to 12% better performance comparatively, for example, with the 4080 Super. And regarding 4080, the normal one, you see maximum or on average around 15%. Again, this is not good. Again, NVIDIA tried to make it a better product in the sense that 4080 when was launched, it was around $1,200 MSRP. Given that the 5080 it's $1,000 MSRP supposedly, but again, with the lack of stocks and all that jazz, it will ramp up around the same price. I think between 1,200 to 1,500 probably. Most GPUs, especially from AIBs. But yeah, it seems that Blackwell. I don't know if they have anything on the on the technology, on the architecture, or something like that. It's not performing, especially on the announced CES. But then again, the numbers that they showed, it takes into account MFG, which is multi-frame generation. But yeah, in terms of architectural uplifts from generation to generation, is not a good deal. I think I did a pretty excellent choice when I bought my 7900 XTX. It still does, and it compares itself very well with, especially with the 5080. It's almost in line with the 5080 in terms of rasterization. Again, ray tracing is a different thing, but even with ray tracing, the uplift in performance from generation to generation is not that big. Uh, Even like, for example, 15% 4K ray tracing, it's like a couple of frames uplift, which is not that good unless you then activate the multi-frame generation. Then you might see inflated numbers, but yeah, it seems the consensus is not that good. Plus the fact that we are not going to have a lot of stock. I've been watching a lot of videos from insiders. Usually, Moore's Law is that channel. Usually has good insiders, especially on the retail side of things regarding, for example, the leaks that he had from the insiders regarding stocks. It seems pretty bad. I think they are going only to have something better in terms of inventory around March, probably. So to a certain extent, the 5090, 5080 seem to be a paper launch to a certain degree. And yeah, does it look good? And again, unless you have, for example, a 20 series, you might see some uplifting performance, a noticeable uplifting performance, especially in ray tracing and, of course, rasterization. But other than that, I don't know. If you bought something from the last generation on the higher end, I think you're well served, and I think you might as well wait for the next generation to see how it goes. Or if you are in the middle range, I advise you to wait for RDNA 4. It seems that it might be a good launch, but yeah, we will have to wait for the official information and then the independent reviews to make sure of it and see how those RDNA GPUs are going to be launched, especially in terms of price. In terms of gaming, we got Spider-Man 2 PC specs revealed. Suppose you need a RTX 4070 or better, and an RX 7900 XT or better for ray tracing. It seems that this one, yeah, it seems that this one is not that bad per se. Again, I usually focus on 1080p 60 as a bare minimum, and even the this PC requirements doesn't seem that heavy. I will assume that none of this needs any kind of DLSS. It doesn't seem so. At least there is no notes regarding that. Even on high, they only going for 1440p 60 frames. But even then, it's not that heavy, just a little bit uplift from 1080p. Usually, these PlayStation games, when they are ported, they're usually well ported from Nixes lately, which is good to see. But then again, if you want to use ray tracing, again, basically it's 4090s and 7800X3Ds for CPUs and all that jazz. But other than that, I think it's the only thing that it's noticeable is the SSD storage that you need. And again, in line with the RAM requirements, again, 16 gigabytes and of course 32 gigabytes on the top end. Other than that, it seems to me okay. But yeah, uh, again, it's not a game for me. I think they had they downscale a little bit the quality in terms of overall game on this one from the first one. But yeah, at least we got the PC specs revealed. On Baldur's Gate 3, we've got another patch, but the caveat here is kind of a beta one. If you want to access this patch, you will need to register if you're playing through PlayStation or PC, or you have to have the Xbox Insider app from Microstore if you are an Xbox player. Again, this patch introduces photo mode, 12 new subclasses, and cross-platform play, which is good. And then again, this is kind of a beta kind of a thing here for the patch 8. And again, it got a lot of stuff there. They still are supporting this game in terms of patching up stuff here and there. But yeah, seems good. It's one of those games that I will eventually try out for sure. But then again, I need time to play all these games that I want to play. But yeah, this one is still on my wish list. No Man's Sky had another update. Again, this game is blowing out of the water. Again, it had a botched launch. It was a shit show when it launched. None of the things that they promised was there, basically. But since then, since the game was launched, they're being improving over and over and over again. They already did, I think, 20 or so updates, like major updates with the features and even expansion on the gameplay systems. And this one is Worlds Part 2, where they already launched Part 1 a few months ago, I think. And basically, what they do is transfer the universe with new stars, more story, new planets. Got the ancient ruin stuff here, gas giants, water worlds, discover strange creatures. Again, they increase biomes and terrain stuff. Again, and I think here they focus a little bit more on the water stuff there, underwater exploration and all that jazz. It's again, they are doing a pretty good job here, and I completely forgot their next upcoming game, which basically is trying to It's basically a planet, and you can explore the entirety of the planet, and it's used kind of the same system as No Man's Sky, but in a more detailed way than as a planet whole. And I think you will have also co-op and all that jazz. Again, and some of the things they are introducing on this new game are being basically backported to No Man's Sky to add value to this game. But yeah, this game seems to be very excellent shape here. They had it so much stuff, and I'm trying to cover everything that they launched, and I'm pretty impressed with what they did with this game here. Then you got another way. You got the Silent Hill remake. They already shipped, including digital sales, only 2 million copies sold, which is good. The game seems pretty decent, even though you got some marketing issues here and there, especially regarding with graphic fidelity and gameplay. People were a bit, I don't know, on the fence here, but it seemed that the game so far did sold pretty well. Um, which is basically 2 million copies in 3 months. And as you can see, even though 2 million units might seem a little bit not much, but usually when they reach this kind of benchmarks, they usually give us that information. And as you can see, that's why everybody thinks that. For example, Dragon Age: The Veilguard didn't sell even 1 million copies, which it's a fumble in that sense. And then on the Monster Hunter Wild stuff here and Capcom, we will have on February 4th what they call the showcase here, which is Capcom Spotlight. Supposedly, they're going to give a little bit more information on the Onimusha game, Way of the Sword. Also, we're going to get more information. Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Marvel's versus Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classic, and Fighting Games, and also Monster Hunter Wilds, which is going to be after this presentation. They will, I don't know, showcase even more stuff from Monster Hunter Wilds, which is good. Hopefully, with this new beta, I can get a little bit more hands-on on the game here and explore a little bit more stuff out of the more than the first one that I did. But yeah, good news here that they are ramping up to be an excellent launch. Monster Hunter Wilds. I just hope that their PC optimizations are really uh, better than the first beta. We will not see those PC improvements, optimizations that they've been talking about on this beta because they didn't manage to input there, but supposedly they are working on them. But as always, never pre-order any kind of game. Wait for the launch, third-party reviews or independent reviews, and then make that decision there. But yeah, I will try to catch this. Again, the only thing that interests me here in my personal preferences is Monster Hunter Wilds and the Onimusha game. I remember playing Onimusha 3 when it came out on console of a friend, and I remember playing that game and quite enjoying that. And then here we got Sony Interactive Entertainment. A couple of shuffles here. It seems that Helmut Hurst did get demoted from co-CEO, and now basically he is going to continue as CEO of the Studio Business Corp. Basically, I think it's a first-party studio from PlayStation, and he was demoted from the overall Sony Entertainment. He was demoted from that position, and it will be maintained solely by Hideaki Nishino. Sorry. Yeah, I think Concord did get a blow on the Helmut Hurst because it was his poster child there, and his gamble on live service games. They failed miserably, and I think they also canceled a lot of multiplayer projects that they had, especially from God of War, I think. The Last of Us multiplayer game, and at least basically a handful of projects that we're working on in terms of live service. They canceled basically everything, and I think now we might see a little bit more focus on games that are more single player but with higher quality. Then I think they are turning around, hopefully, from also this shit show of, for example, what was The Last of Us Part 2, what the upcoming game, from them, also from Naughty Dog, doesn't seem that good. Hopefully, they are shifting from that. Again, I suppose some of those games are way too in an advanced stage in terms of production that it's too costly for them to cancel, and they might want to take a chance on that just to see if they can at least cover the cost of developing those games. But yeah, this represents a little bit of a shift on the Sony as a whole, and hopefully we will see something coming out better. And again, those decisions will only reflect, I don't know, from 2 to 3 years from now, because again, game cycle development usually it's 3 to 5 years at least. So it will take a while here. Hopefully, we will see some changes. Sooner than this time frame here. And with that said, it seemed interesting enough. PlayStation blog made a reference here regarding PSN linking with Steam games, at least on single player games. They say that starting with the release of this Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that I covered here on the PC requirements, they are working to add more benefits by playing benefits to playing with an account for PlayStation Network. And they said The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, God of War Ragnarok, and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered will all be adding in-game content logs for PlayStation Network account users. But the main thing here, an account for PlayStation Network will become optional for these titles on PC. Players who still opt to sign into a PlayStation Network account will also enjoy added benefits like trophies and friend management. Again, what it seems to me, it's they are basically backtracking on any kind of PlayStation published games on Steam. They are backtracking on the PSN requirement here. I think they saw this being affecting the sales, especially on single player games. Again, I understand the requirement for at least games that have multiplayer component or multiplayer games by themselves. Like, for example, Helldivers 2. To a certain extent, I also understand if they want to do this on Ghost of Tsushima because it has a multiplayer component. But it seems to me, and again, there is no a lot of details. I tried to check on the website here, but I didn't get that much uh, kind of a clarification. Uh, but my understanding is probably even in games that are single player games with the multiplayer component, if you want to play only the single player part of the game, you don't need a PSN sign in. Only if you want to play the online part, you really need to link the account there. Again, I'm not sure about this. I will try to see if I can get more information. But if it is so, at least on single player games that don't have any multiplayer component, you are not you don't need to do a PSN account linking or creating an account to play these games on Steam. I think it's an excellent step on gaining favor on gamers because they are pretty good PlayStation games. That some of them I would like to try out. For example, God of War seem a pretty good action duology so far. And The Last of Us Part One, I played the first one on console, and I really did love the game. Again, I will not play Last of Us Part Two, but there are a lot of games that are exclusive to PlayStation and when ported to Steam. If you don't need that PSN requirement, I think it's going to boost their sales for sure. But yeah, regarding that multiplayer part or component on single player games, I didn't understand, but it seems to me, given that probably you're not going to need, again, they also did what people were saying, which is okay, if you want people to create a PSN account and leak the account, just give some extra goodies to incentivize players to do that, and it's basically what they're doing here with this thing here, from unlocking I don't know, suits and all that jazz. For example, here on Last of Us, they give you 50 points to activate bonus features and unlock extras. Again, all of those things here that seemingly can incentivize people to do this transaction of creating a PSN account and linking it to Steam. But yeah, hopefully I will try to get more information about it and more clarified information to see how it really works and if it is kind of retroactive on the games they already published. But yeah, other than that, I cannot find any more information at the time of recording this episode. But yeah, let's go in for some gaming deals. We got again No Man's Sky 60% off. Again, with this New Worlds Part 2 update already integrated. We got also Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition seems the way to go, 48% off with Phantom Liberty included. We got Atomic Heart 65% off on basically all editions here. We got also King Arthur's Night Tale. It's kind of a turn-based RPG. Seems pretty good from what I've been seeing here, and it's one of those that I probably will try out one of these days. And it's 70% off. We got also the sequel per se, which is King Arthur Legion 9, 70% off also. Then you got still Doom, 80% off, and also Doom Eternal got around 70% off on all editions here. Then you got Dark Souls Trilogy, which is the remastered version, 50% off in all of them, including Dark Souls 2 Scholars of the First Sin, and of course Dark Souls 3. And the way to go is the Deluxe Edition, 50% off also. But yeah, for today, I'll wrap up here with a plug of my Patreon for extra support. The extra support is for me to try and get a better storage solution so I can have backups of stuff that I do for my clients. And of course, some extra space for the stuff that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.